اجلاس اول پارلمان اروپا، بروکسل، 19 آذر 1404، 10 دسامبر 2025. همگام با مردم ایران برای صلح و امنیت جهانی. کنفرانس در روز جهانی حقوق بشر.
سخنرانی‌های گی فرهوفشتاد، نخست وزیر بلژیک 1999-2008. ریچارد چارنسکی، وزیر پیشین امور اروپایی لهستان، نایب رئیس پارلمان اروپا 2014-2018. راسا یوکنویچینه، عضو کمیسیون خارجه پارلمان اروپا، وزیر دفاع سابق لیتوانی و رئیس مجمع وزرای ناتو 2018. سناتور جولیو ترتسی، رئیس کمیسیون سیاست‌های اروپا در سنای ایتالیا، وزیر خارجه ایتالیا 2013.
گی فرهوفشتاد. مبارزه مردم ایران و مبارزه شما خانم رجوی بخشی از یک نبرد بزرگتر است که فقط به ایران و مردم ایران محدود نمی شود. این نبرد بزرگتر در سطح جهانی میان دموکراسی و خودکامگی است. ایران آزاد تنها پرونده است که همه گروه‌های سیاسی در پارلمان اروپا در مورد آن اتفاق نظر دارند و هر بار با تصمیمی متفق القول همراه بوده است. اتحادیه اروپا باید با یک اقدام به استراتژی مماشات با رژیم پایان دهد و آن باز کردن کانال ارتباط با اپوزیسیون دموکراتیک است. اتحادیه اروپا باید اپوزیسیون دموکراتیک و به ویژه خانم رجوی را به عنوان نماینده واقعی مردم ایران به رسمیت بشناسد.
Thank you, Petras. I will not try to speak Persian. You do it far better than I do. So, but I want to welcome first of all Mrs. Rajavi. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your presence here. Thank you for your leadership so many years and here in Belgium. And you know, I told it you already a few times. I have a dream. That is that the next International Human Rights Day we could be invited by you in Tehran. That would be maybe a good way forward. So, as you already did in your introduction, the situation in Iran is worsening. Certainly for so many people that are killed by the Mullah regime. Only in the month of November there were more than 330 prisoners that have been executed under different pretexts, many of them for political reasons because they make part of the political resistance. And since the beginning, the first week of December, again 60 people have been executed by this regime. The last 16 months, and I take the last 16 months, why? Because it's the start of the so-called reformist and moderate president. His period as president-elect, well, in that period of 60 months, more than 2,600 people have been killed. And today, as Mrs. Rajavi already said, there are 18 political prisoners on death row, all charged with one thing, that is supporting the resistance. And what is so important to tell today on this International Human Rights Day is that all these people, these 18 people that are in prison and waiting for the execution, have one way or another reiterated their support for a democratic republic, even under the threat of an execution. And that shows the resilience of the Iranian people for democracy and a democratic republic today in Iran. And you have to know, ladies and gentlemen, and Mrs. Rajavi, that the fight of the Iranian people and your fight makes part of a bigger battle. It's not only Iran and the Iranian people. There is a bigger battle fight going on between democracy and autocracy on the world level. A fight between two visions on the world view. Autocratic regimes like Iran sees the world as a world of power. If you have power, it's enough. Power defines everything. While we as Democrats, and you as a democratic opposition in Iran, we believe that human rights, the rule of law, are the basis of a democratic society, and not only power or the exertion of power. And my wish today, because we are in the European Parliament, so I have the possibility for once again to speak to my former colleagues in the European Parliament, not only outside the Parliament, but inside the Parliament, is to ask them to increase the pressure on the leadership in Europe to change their strategy towards Iran. But let's be honest, I was responsible for a resolution in the past, in the previous Parliament, where we agreed on a tough stance towards Iran. There is a new resolution that has been adopted, Petros, in the Parliament, reiterating mainly what previously have been said, but what we in fact see is a continuation of the appeasement strategy of the Western Europe and the European leaders and the American leaders. That is the reality of today. So my wish today, and my is not so much to Mrs. Rajavi, but towards the politicians here in the room and the members of Parliament in the room, to ask, to request the European leadership, and that means European Commission, European Council, the heads of states of government of our member of it, and certainly also the European External Action Service, to change their strategy the fastest as possible, because the strategy of appeasement has solved nothing the last 10 years in this. Nothing. It didn't. It certainly, colleagues, didn't stop the killings. 2,600 the last 16 months. It didn't produce, a nuclear-free Iran, because it's the opposite what is true. They all simply cannot be trusted in this, the Mullah regime. So if we make the assessment, the appeasement policy didn't realize nothing at all. So it's the moment now, certainly on International Human Rights Day, to increase pressure on our own leaders here in Europe to change course. And my proposal will be, because I can tell you, I know a little bit of this Parliament. I was 15 years a member of it. I have never seen one file where all the political groups were in agreement. Well, I can tell you, the Free Iran is the only file where all political groups are in agreement. The only one. Really. Every time it was nearly by a unanimous decision. So my request is create not a sort of a coalition, go to our leaders in Commission, High Representative and the Council to ask a change in strategy, and that means very, very important things. That is to recognize, first of all, the EGRC as a terrorist organization. What we need more than 2,600 deaths since 16 months to approve it. That means increasing sanctions. If there are more executions, well, we increase sanctions. That has to be the mechanism. The more there are, the more sanctions we need to take against all those who are involved in these crimes in Iran. And that goes further. That's police forces, that's the army, that's the political leadership. There is certainly enormous room for improvement. And then we need, like I said, to stop our appeasement strategy by one thing, that is to open the channel to the democratic opposition. I want that the European Union recognize the democratic opposition, especially Mrs. Rajavi, as the real representative of the Iranian people, and not longer the Mullah regime, as is the case now. And if we all do that, we can change the strategy of the Union. The Americans have to change their strategy towards Iran. And then I am pretty sure that next year, or maybe 2 years, let's give a year more, we will have this International Day in Tehran, Mrs. Rajavi. Thank you very much.
ریچارد چارنسکی. دست کم 18 زندانی سیاسی وابسته به سازمان مجاهدین خلق در حال حاضر در صف اعدام منتظر نوبت خود هستند. این عدالت نیست، این ترور دولتی است. کانون‌های شورشی مجاهدین در سراسر کشور گسترش یافتند و با به آتش کشیدن مراکز سرکوب رژیم و پایگاه‌های بسیج در تهران و دیگر شهرها دست به اقدامات اعتراضی می‌زنند. پیام آنها روشن است. مردم ایران تسلیم نخواهند شد. مردان و زنان شجاع در اشرف سه در آلبانی نماد پایداری و تعهد به ارزش‌های دموکراتیک علیرغم سالها فشار، تهدید و توطئه‌های رژیم ایران هستند.
روز بخیر دوستان. Madam President, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, friends of freedom, friends of Azadi, thank you firstly for organizing this very important and very prestigious conference on Iran, especially on the occasion of Human Rights Day. It's an honor to me and great honor to join you and to stand with all those who believe that the people of Iran deserve freedom and justice. I would like to pay tribute to the Friends of Free Iran group in the European Parliament. Since 2003, this cross-party group has been a leading voice in Europe for human rights in Iran and for justice for the Iranian democratic opposition. It's good to see Madame Rajavi here. Under her leadership, the National Council of Resistance of Iran and the PMI have paid a heavy price for democracy in Iran. They have faced brutal repression inside Iran, and at the same time they have been victims of decades of Western appeasement towards the mullahs. As a Pole, as the representative of Poland, I know very well the consequences of appeasement. Our history teaches us that dictatorship grows bolder when the free world remains silent. Today, Iran is ruled by one of the most violent religious dictatorships in the world. This year alone, the regime has executed around 1,800 prisoners, including many women and political prisoners. In just 2 weeks, 161 people, among them 4 women, were hanged. Some even in public squares in skins that belong to the Middle Ages. At least 18 PMOI-affiliated political prisoners are currently on death row, waiting for their turn. This is not justice. This is the state-run terror. And yet, despite this brutality, the Iranian people continue to resist. The young generation, especially women, stand at the front of the struggle. The PMOI resistance units have expanded across the country, carrying out acts of operations, burning down regime repression centers and basic bases in Tehran and other cities. Their message is clear. The Iranian people will not surrender. The Iranian resistance has also made enormous contributions to global security. It was the NSCI and PMOI that exposed the regime's secret nuclear weapons program, information that the world might never have discovered without them. Europe should be grateful for this. And finally speaking, I also want to express my solidarity with the brave men and women on Ashraf Free in Albania. I had the honor of meeting them when they first arrived. They are a symbol of resilience and devotion to democratic values despite years of pressure, threats and conspiracies by the Iranian regime. Let me speak from the heart. One of my greatest wishes is to see a free Iran in my lifetime. I believe that they will come. I believe that we'll see Madame Mariam Rajavi walking freely through the streets of Tehran, welcomed by a nation liberated from the cruelty of the mullahs. That day is closer than ever. Motesh Karam, Chodo Chofes, thank you.
راسا یوکنویچینه. میخواهم از کسانی تشکر کنم که تقریباً هر روز اینجا هستند و برای آینده ایرانی متفاوت تلاش میکنند. ما باید به مبارزه خود ایمان داشته باشیم. من باور ندارم که دیکتاتوری ها در سطح جهان بتوانند پیروز شوند. در نهایت ما پیروز خواهیم شد.
Thank you, Patras. Thank you, Madam Rajavi, and all colleagues, brilliant colleagues you have in the Parliament. Really, I would like to thank those who are here every almost single day working for the future of different Iran, I would say. Iran with the open Iran for everybody. I never been to Iran. I mentioned this last time, but I still believe that in my lifetime I will witness the different Iran and the region. So that's why I am here. You know, next week we will have a plenary session in Strasbourg. And there we will have very important event as every December. Sakharov Prize will be awarded to new nominees. You remember that 2 years ago, maybe, Iranian also representatives were awarded. Last year, Venezuela was nominated. And this year, this most prestigious prize for human rights in European Union, I would say, European Parliament is nominating Andrei Sakharov Prize. So this prestigious prize we will already decided, and 2 brave imprisoned, by the way, journalists from different countries, but nevertheless with the same, unfortunately, destiny up to now, will be awarded. So Polish, but he is in Belarus, in Belarusian, imprisoned in Belarus prison, Andrzej Pochobut, and close neighbor of Iran, Georgia, will be nominated, journalist Mzia Maglobeli. She is imprisoned for almost 1 year now, And she is fighting exactly for the same what you are fighting for, democratic Georgia. People going for demonstrations every single day to fight not to have Iran regime, like maybe not the same exactly, but dictatorships, despite the differences of religion, despite the differences of some history or narratives, they are exactly the same. Those who are taking out of the communities freedom of speech, taking their national broadcasters, they are suppressing media, business, justice, everything. Now we have some kind of very challenging and different time, but I still believe that we have to do the same, exactly the same, to believe in democracy, to believe in our fight, because I don't believe in dictatorships, that globally they can win. At the end, we will win. Thank you very much, and everybody.
سناتور جولیو ترتزی: عزم ایرانیانی که خواهان یک تغییر دموکراتیک واقعی هستند، مؤثرترین سلاح علیه دیکتاتوری آخوندهاست. صدای آنها با تلاش‌های شورای ملی مقاومت ایران به رهبری خانم مریم رجوی همراه شده است. مجازات اعدام به ابزاری دائمی برای سرکوب و خاموش کردن هر صدای مخالفی برای هدف قرار دادن سازمان مجاهدین خلق ایران تبدیل شده است. زمان آن فرا رسیده است که جامعه بین المللی به طور رسمی با شورای ملی مقاومت ایران وارد تعامل شود. ایران دموکراتیک واقعی ممکن است و این مهم با طرح 10 ماده‌ای خانم رجوی برای آینده ایران محقق می شود.
Dear Madam Rajavi, dear friends, on December 10th, the international community honors the Human Rights Day, proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly to celebrate the 1948 Universal Declaration. I would like to address my thoughts to all the Iranian people, especially those who are victims of this terrorist regime. The determination of the Iranians calling for a true democratic change is the most effective weapon against the mullahs' dictatorship. Their voices are joined by the efforts of the National Council of Resistance of Iran, led by you, Madam President, Madam Rajavi. Despite all wars fueled by the regime and by its terrorist agenda, protest all over the country has never been subdued. Demonstrations in public squares, schools, universities are met with the harshest crackdown by the mullahs, by public executions of all those who dare challenging the regime. The death penalty has become the constant tool for repression and for silencing all dissent, and especially to attack the People's Mujahideen Organization of Iran, PMO-IMEC. There have been almost 1,800 executions this year. In the last November alone, at least 336 people were executed. We are talking about 11 executions per day. But if the regime's cruelty increases, it is only because the regime is becoming weaker and weaker every day. But the international community is finally reacting. Last November, the Third Committee of the United Nations General Assembly spoke loudly and clearly. 79 member states, including my country, Italy, approved a resolution which is strongly condemning Iran for executions, forced disappearances, including women and children, and all tortures that have been inflicted. That resolution refers also to the genocidal crimes committed after Ayatollah Khomeini's 1988 fatwa that killed 30,000 political opponents, a case which was reopened by the Swiss judiciary in compliance with the Swiss law for crime of genocide. The Iranian regime is recognized by all the democratic countries around the world as a major threat to peace and security. The Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps is providing funds, weapons, and support to all the terrorist militias in the Middle East, and their involvement in the war in Ukraine, where they are providing lethal drones and missiles to the Russian side, which all this is widely documented. Even Europe is under Iranian threats. Look at the cyber attacks, espionage networks, and to attempted assassination like the one against our dear friend, Professor Leo Villas-Quadras, who luckily, very luckily, survived. We need more than ever a firm deterrence, strong containment, and a clear side prevention. This is why the inclusion of the IRGC on the list of worldwide terrorist organizations is no longer questionable. It is the time for the international community to formally engage with the National Council of Resistance of Iran. The real democratic Iran is indeed possible, and it is possible thanks to the 10-point plan for the future of Iran proposed and suggested by Madame Rajavi.